The following is a special presentation of the PDF Sports Network.
You know, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, business, entertainment, and so much more. Nick Durst here, along with Joe Calabrese. And Joe, our guest today, I would say, is a really good man.
I think he's a great man too, but definitely a good man for sure. Great intro, Nick. What we do here, again, is that we cover a lot of different topics, right? So we cover stuff in the sports world, the entertainment world, and one thing in particular that ties in a lot of what we specifically cover are live events, right? So what better person to have on to talk about live events and his history and how he got there, but definitely a unique guest here, definitely a first-timer for us. But yes, he is a good man, and we're happy to have him on. Welcome the CEO of TicketSmarter.com, Jeff Goodman, to the show. Jeff, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Jeff, we're excited to have you on here to learn a little bit more about the ticket business. So obviously, you didn't just wake up one day and you're in the ticket business. It was a decades-long journey for you. But what was the process like for you to ultimately get to TicketSmarter and finding that and being the CEO?
Yeah, definitely. It's not something I was thinking about back in college at that time, but I've always enjoyed live events. I went to the University of Texas.
Hook 'em.
Hook 'em horns, you bet. And I'm from Kansas City. We're based in Kansas City. I went to school in Texas, but I'm a diehard Chiefs and Royals fan. And so I've always enjoyed live events and concerts and sporting events. And I started out, and I was a recruiter, actually. I was in retail sales and then a recruiter after that, coming out of college and in the recruiting field. And we, in 2010, when things were getting kind of tight with the economy and it had a downturn, my wife and I were looking for something to do as a side business out of the house. And we had been selling tickets to the Royals and Chiefs and things like that, just locally on the side. And we ultimately decided to start being a ticket broker at that time. And our first event actually was that really started Goody Tickets at the time. Based on the last name, was if you remember The Decision.
Yes.
If you're an NBA guy, The Decision. So in 2010, LeBron did The Decision and did the little show and everything. And I came into work the next day and I said, you know what? I think the first time he's going to have a Heat uniform on is an exhibition game at the time at Sprint Center, now formerly Sprint Center, now T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. And so I went online, and sure enough, that was the case. And but I said, okay, we're gonna go all in on this. And I had an American Express card and bought like $7,000 worth of tickets to put on my credit card. And so really kind of jumped all in on it. And that was like 100 tickets. And that also rolled into using Craigslist to try to find people to buy them, and had an individual come see me and say, hey, can you help me with other events? And I said, what do you need? And she said, well, I'm looking to go see Usher. And again, I knew I had an American Express card and they had like a pre-sale. And I said, you know what? I can get you a couple tickets in the front row with the meet and greet for $2,000. And all of a sudden, she said, I'll bring you $2,000 cash tomorrow. And so Goody Tickets was born. And then we ran a number of private labeled websites that we drove traffic to online, like TicketsOnline.com and some other things that we own, but no real branding to them. And then in 2019, before the pandemic, we launched TicketSmarter.com, and we decided to go all in with that brand and really started trying to build a reputation and credibility with fans, because really that's all fans care about. They get what they paid for, that the ticket's going to work, they're going to get the seat that they wanted, and they're paying a fair price. That's what people are looking for, really, ultimately, and when they buy tickets. And so we we started reaching out to find partnerships. And our first partnership actually was the Rose Bowl Stadium, which was really cool because I, in '04, was at the Rose Bowl against Michigan when Texas won. And then in '05, it was the national championship
Best football game ever in college.
Vince Young.
Taking down the evil empire of USA. I love it.
Yeah, Reggie Bush. Yeah, it was basically a yard from being over. And one of the best football games, college football games or overall football games of all time. And so that was really very sentimental for us. And then we did a deal with ESPN Events with the Champions Classic and Jimmy V Classic, and that kind of opened the door for us in the college space. And so we have partnerships with hundreds of universities and conferences like the Big Ten and the current Pac-12, and as well as a number of bowl games. And we've had the TicketSmarter Bowl the last several years in Birmingham. And we have
Joe and I cannot wait to come to the TicketSmarter Bowl in Birmingham and do some video interviews for you. It's going to be phenomenal.
I appreciate that. We do not have it on tap actually yet. Our agreement expired for this year, but we'll see how things play out for the rest of the year. But I love the city of Birmingham, and we've done a lot of work with UAB and with Sanford there, and with the Birmingham Barons, and with the Bulls in Pelham, and we've had like almost our second home from Kansas City and Birmingham. So we'll see what happens. But and we sell tickets for 130,000 events, whether it's college sports or someone going to see Taylor Swift or Beyonce or Adele, to the circus, you name it. But that gives you a little bit about kind of how we started. And I don't want to leave out the fact that when we did start, one of the big things that my wife Heather wanted to make sure that we did was be able to give back. And so it's extremely important to us. We partnered with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, as well as the V Foundation. So we are focused on children's charities and being able to help and give back portions of proceeds to children's charities, and including the Monday Morning Quarterback Club in Birmingham, and give back there as well. So I wanted to definitely not make sure I didn't leave that out.
Great stuff. So you are always on top of specific market trends. You have access to data. What tickets are always seem like the hardest to get, and how does TicketSmarter in particular combat external issues that happen, say with bots or other technological issues that may come up?
A great question. And, I think that as far as what is hot or popular, it really depends on, a lot of environment. It's really demand. It's a supply and demand thing. So, for example, we'll look at this the last few months of things like let's use it on the sports world. Let's use Inter Miami for a second. So Inter Miami, tickets are $20 to get into a game. They're in last place. And then all of a sudden they had this announcement for Messi, that they're acquiring Messi, and his first match tickets were going for $600 just to get in the building for his first match on July 21st. So it completely flips everything when something like that happens. And wherever now Messi's going to play, whether it's at home for a match or when he goes on the road, it's now inflating prices. And that happens in the NFL. I mean, the Chiefs now are, they're the defending Super Bowl champions. So wherever they go, there's demand. The Cowboys and Packers have brands that continue to drive demand in those markets. From a bot perspective, that continues to be an issue for a lot of primary marketplaces that have to continue to battle that aspect. But I think that there have been measures put in place, whether it's verified fan with Ticketmaster or Fan First with AXS, where they try to limit the amount of secondary tickets in the secondary market, which can have positive and negative effects. In general, it's doing what the artist wants from the music side of things. They would prefer the tickets to be in the hands of someone that's attending, and that's what it does. Now, the remaining tickets that make it to the secondary market then become very inflated. That's using the Taylor Swift example. That's why her tickets have been so expensive in this world tour, where they start at $1,000 to $1,500
I
because
tried. Me and my wife, we wanted to go to Taylor Swift at MetLife Stadium. Well, I couldn't even get into the portal to buy. It's too much money on the secondary market. I was saying maybe we can try to go to the Miami concert next fall. I got to check your website to see what the pricing is, but it's just crazy with these Taylor Swift tickets. I never seen anything like this before in my life, and it's the same as happening now with WrestleMania next year in Lincoln Financial Field with Philadelphia. The tickets are already sold out. They set their gate records because they're inflating the prices here. It's inflation.
That's true. And the problem is, let's use Taylor. What do you want her to do? I mean, she could perform twice as many dates, and it might take that much for her to get it done. The problem is there's only so many days in the year, and there's only so many times she can perform. Right now, when she performs 6 times at SoFi and she's selling, call it 50 to 60,000 per show, she's performing in a stadium instead of an arena just so she can accommodate the demand, right. But it's still not enough, and that's still inflating the prices. I mean, her prices from the box office, were $100 to a few $100, and she put those mostly in fans' hands, and that's why you only see, 1,000 tickets to 2,000 tickets per show for an entire stadium on the secondary market, which is very low. And so therefore it's creating, and the demand is still there, it's creating this inflation. The only recommendation I could give you is go to Melbourne or Sydney, because they have there's a government regulation on resale of tickets to limit it to 10%. So if you happen to be
probably cheaper to fly there and buy the ticket than to buy it in the United States.
If you can get there, tickets are starting only about $300 or $400 there. So it's a lot. It's a lot less.
Yeah.
But so go ahead.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So, Jeff, in your opinion here, why are there insane processing fees, and why you have to pay fees to print your own tickets or download them digitally? How does Ticketmaster and all these other sites get away with this? Because to me, it's just not. I see a price. All right, let's say I want to go to a baseball game, $30 tickets. I just know right away I got to double that because it's going to be taxes and there's going to be handling and processing fees. I'm handling and processing my own tickets. I'm hitting download and putting on my phone. Why is this keep happening? We haven't been able to see a day where government or whoever puts a stop to this.
Yeah, I do think so. We'll talk about the primary first before the secondary, because they're two different issues, two different things. So on the primary side, yeah, I mean, Ticketmaster does have most of the marketplace. They have, 70+% share. And the reality is that whether it's Ticketmaster Access, tickets.com that pretty much control, maybe Paculin because of the college space, that control most of the ticketing, there are pretty significant fees that have been assigned. Not only on the back, there's the back. So part of it is there's a back end fee that Ticketmaster is charging annually to the company, to the team or the rights holder of the venue, that is a license fee per year. So that's part of it. And then to the fan, yeah, I mean, it does get pretty crazy when you have a $20 or $25 ticket that has another $15 or $20 in fees. When we do our primary ticketing we've got 50 plus properties that we've expanded to, that we're doing primary ticketing at racetracks and some minor league baseball teams and others. Our fees are considerably lower. You're looking at like 5%. And then maybe with the credit card processing and everything, you're still under 10%. So if you're buying a $50 ticket and there's $5 in fees, okay. Nick, you're probably not complaining about that. It's when you have a $50 ticket and there's another $30 or $40 in fees, that's crazy. There is going to be something to actually make sure the ticket's delivered securely and process it, that there is cost. On the secondary market, a lot of it relates to the advertising component, meaning the pay-per-click model, and to get on Google, which is really most people when they want to buy tickets, they go online and they search for whatever they're going to. That is pretty much the dominant way people buy tickets now. They go online and look up Taylor Swift tickets, or they go online and type in Alabama football tickets or Texas basketball tickets. These search results that come up, and the first three are those paid ads. And these companies like,
they're paying for that.
us, but yeah, they pay, most of them are paying $10-20 million a month
Oof.
and they're passing that cost on to the consumer. And that's why like a StubHub started at a 10% consumer fee and now is at 32%. And most of those secondary market, we're less. We're trying to keep a low overhead, a low profile, and pass that savings on to the consumer. But it makes it harder for people to know who TicketSmarter is.
Right.
So we've tried to do, we've tried to do SEO to get us organically to the top, and to do all these partnerships. I call it a grassroots approach with, mid-level Division I schools, D2, D3, NAIA, minor league baseball teams, anybody that we can partner with, that we can do something economically and help promote their brand, but they'll help promote us, so that when a fan is at a minor league baseball game, whether it's at the Monarchs or the Ogden Raptors or whoever we might work with, they'll say, oh yeah, I want to go to see the Utah Jazz or the Kansas City Chiefs, whatever. Oh, let me go check out TicketSmarter. They sponsor my alma mater.
Yeah.
Let me check them out.
That's the way to do it. Jeff, last question here for us. So what would you say in your life or your career would be your I'm right moment? So that means a time or place where you wanted to pursue something, you asked somebody for advice, they said, don't do that. That's a terrible idea. It's not going to work out. And you were like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And ultimately you will see why it is that I'm right.
Yeah, I really think that was probably in 2012. In 2010, we started this, getting it. We were started in the ticket business, like I mentioned earlier, but I still kept my full-time job. I would work all day. My wife Heather would work on all the processing of any orders that we had during the day. At night, I would stay and work up till from 6 o'clock. I'd get home, and then I'd work from 6 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the morning. I did that for 2 years. I'd work on like what we were going to buy and like the strategy side of it, and then she'd work on it during the day and the actual execution. And then in 12, when the All-Star game, MLB All-Star game was in Kansas City, it became too much, and it was really impeding on my day job. And so my company at the time said, look, we can tell this is a problem. And so we think you should, you need to make a decision. Either you're going to drop that side hustle, side business, or, you need to leave. And so we talked about it, and we decided I could always go back to that industry if I wanted and be a recruiter. We're going to go all in with this. And we started out of our home. We went all in and investing in it ourselves, and my wife and I, and then we started hiring people. They were coming to our house, and it took until December of 2012 for us to say, okay, we need to get a lease, an actual building, a place where we can have office space. At that point, we had, I think, between my wife and I, plus I think 4 or 5 employees that were coming to the house every day. And finally, we're like, we need to separate church and state here. We need an actual business where we can go. Get your tax
write-off for your office space.
That's true. But that really is what comes to mind.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Bet on yourself. It's a piece of advice here that we get the most when we ask this question at the end. So, Jeff, we appreciate your time. This was incredibly knowledgeable. Nick and I have always been looking to work and partner with somebody like you in your industry. So we'll continue funneling people, promote TicketSmarter whenever we can, visit the website, very, very low processing fees and all that. So for anybody looking to go to events, go to TicketSmarter.com. Jeff, we thank you for your time again. And if there's anything else you would personally like to share or promote for yourself, by all means, go ahead. We always give the last words to our guests.
No, I really appreciate the time to be able to chat today. Again, our focus really is trying to make sure fans go to live events. I mean, during COVID was a very difficult time. Obviously, our revenue and really like the industry dropped like 95 from March 12th to 13th. Revenue dropped like 95%. And we kept everybody employed and, repurposed what they were going to do and kind of worked on trying to build up the brand during that downtime. But I will say a lot of people asked during that time. I did interviews. And people, were starting to do virtual events, which that's what artists had to do to make a living and try to connect with their fans. but a lot of people said, do you think that that'll go away completely, that live events will go away completely and that people will just play in empty stadiums? And I said, and which can already be seen, absolutely no way. I mean, people have had live events going back to Shakespeare times, to the Coliseum. I mean, there is just something about being at a live event, whether it's 20,000 people singing every word of a Taylor Swift song, right? Or in that case now 50, 60,000 people singing to a Taylor Swift, or 20,000 to an Elton John song, or 300,000 people watching the Indy 500 together. It's a shared experience that people like to have. Obviously, social distancing was the opposite of our business. Our business is designed to bring everybody together. So I appreciate you giving us a little forum to talk to people, and I'm always will make myself available to talk about live events. There's nothing quite like it, and I think for people, the average person goes to 1 to 2 events a year. But if you can spare some of your discretionary income to go to a live event, whether it be circus, monster trucks, a sporting event, or a concert, a Broadway musical, or a show coming to your city, you should do it, because performers told you, and you can see interviews out there. If you go back after COVID, they will tell you that's why they do it, and completely it is how they perform. Whether it's a musical or the NBA, I know college basketball was virtually almost unwatchable when they were playing with empty arenas. They completely thrive on the energy of the fan. So it is a critical element to live events. Live events are a critical element to the performers for concerts, as well as all these sporting events, even that have a fantastic TV product like the NFL and all of the college and pro sports, but they really, really rely on that fan. So if you can make it, definitely try. So thanks again. Appreciate it.
All right, Jeff, thank you so much. Everybody go check out TicketSmarter and get your tickets there. That's going to do it here for this episode of You Know I'm Right. For our very special guest, Jeff Goodman, for my co-host, Joe Calabrese, I'm Nick Durst, and this has been You Know I'm Right.